Okay, so today we are going to be talking about operating in love versus lust. Before we get started, we're gonna pour us some communion. Operating in love versus lust. I'm 23. I'll be 24 in approximately 16 days. And my experience with dating has been very interesting. Of course, my generation is different. I'm a part of Gen Z. We grew up different than our parents. Our parents, they actually dated. They went on dates. They were dating multiple people at once, and that doesn't mean they were having sex. Okay? So the lines have blurred a little bit. The lines have blurred to where the equivalent of dating and sex is the same thing, when it's not. The idea of dating should be getting to know someone to see if they are a potential partner, a great suit for you and your qualities and your characteristics, and you're dating to marry. And it's not just a temporary, let's have fun type of thing. Now in my generation, we have situationships, friends with benefits, sneaky links, Netflix and chills, and all of those are just code words for lustful. People who are lustful. And being lustful is not something people are born with, obviously. That is a learned behavior over time. And I can say, especially for my generation, growing up with internet, growing up with TV, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, all these things where we've seen these directors come out who have foot fetishes and they're pedophiles, right? So we didn't understand that what they were putting in the TV shows we're watching essentially is in our subconscious mind, okay? I remember being in elementary school and not even understanding how I knew what sex was, but I was curious about it. I don't know how, but my curiosity led me to wanting to look it up. And that led me to a website that could have easily been Porn. Yeah, corn. Easily could have been corn. It probably was corn. Even I remember times when I was little, and I'm being very transparent with you guys because these are real life experiences and we need people who speak truth. Even being, little, not even hit puberty yet. And after Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network goes off at a certain time, Adult Swim comes on. So all of these things that have been implanted into our minds that have created this spirit of lust within young people, where the idea of sex is now about having fun and a feeling and an experience versus the overall arching idea of it for procreation. Sex or intercourse is to create more people, to create more beings, more gods, so to speak. How to operate in love, right? So even recently with dating, I've come across people who I thought were in alignment with me, frequency, energy wise, personality wise, spiritually, who, they claim they're Christian, they read the Bible, they quote scriptures, but the whole conversation is based off of lust. I'm gonna fly you out. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And sometimes you get caught up in that, right? And sometimes you kind of lose yourself a little bit. But that's where the discernment comes in and why it's important when operating in love, how to operate in love, is to first love yourself. And that's something that people say all the time. And it's not cliche, it's so real to say how to love yourself. In order to love yourself, you give yourself permission and trust to move people out of your life that you deem not worthy of your time and of your love. Am I right? Yes. So, you know, it could be as simple as just, fully loving everything about yourself, but everything begins internally. Everything begins internally for it to be outwardly projected, whether that is healing childhood wounds and traumas, whether that is fully loving your parents and what you're born with, whether that is healing generational trauma, still having love and respect for people even when they've hurt you and they've done you wrong, because there's billions of people out there in the world, and you're always going to come across people and meet people and bridge connections with others, and that doesn't mean they're always going to be life lasting or longing for forever, but at least you know that this heartbreak you had is not going to change who you are deep down inside to your inner child core. Because visiting that inner child, and I think that's also another easy way to have self-love for yourself, is to look at a baby picture of yourself, look at that little girl, little boy, and say, I love this child, because that child is me, essentially. And once you're able to do that, and you don't want your thoughts to harm this child, you don't want your perceptions to harm this child, you don't want anyone to bring harm to this child, you will begin to love yourself. And that, in a sense, is how you will begin to operate in a state of love versus lust, especially when you begin to see that we are all one and the same. We are all one awareness, experiencing in different bodies, in different forms, and through different eyes. And that also goes into recognizing the spirit aspect of ourselves versus the physical. However, that will be another video that I want to do for another day. But I just wanted to bring up this topic because I feel like this world is full of evil. And when I say that we live in a spiritual war, people are thinking, I feel like, surface level, but they're not thinking the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the physical aspects of everything. And it all starts with a seed that's planted into our minds that over time gets sowed. And that seed started with the internet when we were little. And now that seed has been sowed and has grown into lust. And we do live in a lustful world, and it's projected through physical appearance, whether, women or men are operating in vanity, or what we hear in songs, what we see on TV, what is normalized versus something that should not be normalized. So this has been my first video, and I will continue to do more videos on this topic because I'm passionate about what I believe and what I feel, and I also feel like this is something my generation and the generations further above going forth need to hear. And this is how you spark the minds of those who also will spread a positive message. Thank you.